Welcome to K-Vision TV Topical Discussions. As usual, we present to you different dignitaries who have expertise in themes we are off or we are out to discuss. Ladies and gentlemen, on today's menu, we have the Electoral Commission. We're going to discuss about the Electoral Commission, new guidelines vis-a-vis virtual campaigns. And two, we'll also look into government cabinet proposal to supply radio sets to all Ugandans. I'm talking about homesteads in Uganda. And three, we'll talk about the split of Kasese district, something that have been dividing opinions in individuals, ranging from councillors, politicians, talking about politicians, to the people of Kasese, the local government, and the parliament. Because that is all those stakeholders need to have opinion before it is taken to the MPs up to Parliament. The split of Kasese district, to be precise. Then, vis-a-vis, or amidst looming for city status of Kasese municipality. So, city status versus district. We'll be talking about administration. Welcome to K-Vision TV Topical Discussion. Welcome, gentlemen, on my panel. I'll start from my extreme right with a 10 seconds preamble and introduction. There's always something that is out of the topics, because when we start our topics, could be mainly about our topics. So in 10 seconds, I'll start with the man in a coat from my extreme right.
Thank you very much. Viewers, you're welcome to the KVTV. And my name is Triams Magribat again. I'm a panelist today, and I'm very privileged to be assessing the effectiveness of the Electoral Commission new roadmap and guidelines, and alongside what is that we are looking in the districts that we have failed to give to the previous mother districts. Thank you very much.
Thank you, presenter. I'm called Bomera Richard, District Councillor Blembia Division, and a spokesperson of the NRM District Council Caucus. Thank you.
You're welcome, Zay.
Namo Matee Saul, the FDC District Chairperson in Kasese, and Regional Commissioner or Regional Coordinator FDC, Rwenzori Region. I'm happy to be here on KV Station. Thank
you so much. Governor.
Thank you. Exactly.
Straight to the themes today. Electoral Commission released guidelines and a new roadmap yesterday, where some people really seem unfair, and some people commented positively, claiming they were actually ready for anything that the Electoral Commission will release. Among the guidelines is that there will not be any congregation or congregating in terms of campaigns or consultations. So no one will host his voters in any way. In actual sense, calling for virtual campaigns. When I talk about virtual campaigns, I mean campaigns on air, online, listening, watching, but not in contact, via radio station and via TV stations. So virtual campaigns were emphasized by Electoral Commission. And two, parties have 29 days to prepare all their flag bearers on all posts nationwide. Is it, Mr. Bomera?
Yes, as per the guidelines.
Guidelines, 29 days only to prepare. This is where I want to first bring in Mr. Saul Matee, Governor, like I love calling him, to tell me his view about preparations of the party, even especially FDC. Will it be able to prepare all candidates on all positions in Uganda in 29 days? And two, I wanted to chip in and talk about also the virtual campaigns. Is it really applicable? Is it fair to you? Do you think it will favor you? Campaigns via radio and TV and social media only?
Yeah, thank you. On the onset, immediately the Electoral Commission released the roadmap and the guidelines pertaining the forthcoming elections. We are really perturbed. We fail to understand something behind that issue. Because originally, government had already put in proposals pertaining or in respect of those guidelines or what would happen. And it is not surprising that what a government had put in place is the same that has been released by the Electoral Commission. Meaning, there is something tricky. There's already a bias. Because B, within the FDC, it is not easy and it is not possible to harmonize our candidates within that time frame that has been given. You also look at it. Because looking at Uganda, the whole country, to make sure all posts are being filled up, we have candidates cleared. They go through the primaries because there's that period of primaries or vetting. It's not a simple exercise. In which case, even our candidates that will have shown interest will have no time to campaign. The fact that it will just be indoors. You see, you are limited even to reach people under this COVID. But you just look at the arrangement. The arrangement is very, very biased, very bad. It is not fair, especially to we in the opposition. Because with the ruling party, to be prepared because it has all to come. Be the forces, be the monies, because they have been stealing a lot of money, which we don't know, and they are aware of that. It is therefore not fair because we in the opposition, we thought that under the rule of this multi-party, the Electoral Commission would have called leaders heading the political parties to come together, share views about this before anything would be aired out. Because they are stakeholders in this arrangement.
So you call for you mean you are supposed to be involved as political parties?
Exactly.
I find that relevant because even in a league of football, for example, you cannot make rules without involving the participating clubs. A league is a league where clubs are available. So Electoral Commission's availability is because FDC and what all the competitors are available. So Mr. Saul Matee makes a point and says they were supposed to be consulted. Now, on the next issue, Mr. Saul Matee,
yes.
To conclude your point,
yes.
Do you foresee some challenges? What are your foreseeable challenges, especially in this virtual campaign, where you need to use radios and TVs if at all it is passed?
One, it is also sad, very sad, because even both in urban and rural, it is impossible to have these campaigns in that way. Because we have seen previously where even the voters feel they are tired, they want new faces. And it is only when new faces surface and the voters look at them physically that they are able to decide, other than just hearing that so and so is coming up. So it becomes very, very, very impossible. And in this respect, to me, we have experienced this when there's talk of the media and the TVs. We just look at it, that if the ruling party is ready even to buy all the airtime in the media houses, so that when the opposition comes in, they say the airtime has been bought off. We have nothing. Come the TV and these radios they have talked about. We have looked at this, like these students and people who are in vocation. They have tried it to make that they are lectured on radio and TV. It has not worked. And few people have the time to listen to TVs and radios. And not all media reach all places. You see, it is something which is very, very challenging. But then challenging, it has just been intended by the government so that they fail. And in this respect, I just look as if the incumbent people, those who are already in position, that have been favored in this way, because they're already there, others already have the monies. So these are new candidates. How do you think they will compete fairly with those who are already in seats?
Thank you, Governor.
It's too bad.
Mr. Saul Matee emphasized and conclusively says it is an advantage to the incumbent. It is like saying incumbents, you can go back and take your seats. It is equivalent to that. And he talks about a challenge of media. Not all people and all places have access to media. For example, they say social media. Not all people have phones that access social media. Not all people know how to use computer. That is his point. To make a point, rather, still from his communication, people accessing media. I've been in places in Kasese where no Uganda or Kasese radio station accesses, and they can have all the radios from Congo. They're the ones they have ability to. The radios have abilities to pull up. This is where I want to bring in Mr.
Before that one, let me just put in this one.
Yes, sir.
Because there are times when we have allegations against a candidate. Voters are able to throw some questions to the candidates, and it becomes your chance to clear the air. Now this time round, the voters will not have the chance to raise their questions.
Sure.
Can you imagine? Because through the TV and the radio, whom are you going to ask?
Sure. To be logical, maybe to add on, Mr. Saul, someone could even set his own questionnaires and say, only these calls we shall take. So things may be a lot of plastic. This is where I want Mr. Bomera to come in. Virtual campaigns where you don't meet with the electorate, it's about radio and TVs and social media. Do you think we'll have an opportunity to have suit candidates making choice? And two, what's your opinion on the roadmap, the length, the preparations? As NRM, are you ready?
Thank you, presenter. In the first place, as NRM, which I belong to, I think we are not ready, in my view. But the FDCs are ready. Why do I say the FDCs are ready? The other day, actually last week, but one, I had the FDC Electoral Commission, National Electoral Commission for the FDC, announcing the picking of expression of interest forms for those who are contesting for presidency, LOC5, Member of Parliament. This means that the FDC is already in the process. It is ready. But for us as NRM, we are not ready because we have not reached that level. Why do I say we are not ready? First of all, we recently finished the registration of members. And we are supposed to have the cards, voters' cards, membership cards for the party. They are not yet out. The registers are not yet out. Now, it simply means that we are not able to have the structures in place because we are supposed to first select the leaders of the party who will now help in the management of the election, which we don't have. And we cannot have it because we don't have register. We don't have the cards. Actually, as I think now, as I speak now, we don't know how many members because we have no cards. Therefore, just pushing us into the electoral process, the national electoral process, which is giving us like 21 days to have done, first of all, giving out verification of the register, sorting out the non-voters, because during our registration, they registered even children of 16 years. And they were like, we are going to sort them out. So that there is a process, get that data, and then remove these ones who are still underage from the voters register of the NRM. So that exercise is a bit hectic, and it is likely now not to be done. From there, it's when the party would issue out the membership cards, which actually qualify someone to vote. So that second exercise is not yet out. And now the display of the voters register, it is not yet out. So those very, very key aspects in the electoral process.
Appointment and election of structural leadership also.
Exactly.
Because I have a feeling the NRM Electoral Commission is supposed to be appointed.
Because we elected yes, the appointment, I don't know. I am not sure whether the contract of the NRM Electoral Commission has expired. But if I may talk about the elective structural leadership, the chairpersons, you have leagues and so on, 30 per village, they were elected, in 2015. Their term has expired. We are supposed to have a new leadership because they have served for 5 years. We have not yet had this election. And I am looking at it as if it is going to be a little bit challenging, where all these key activities are just going to be done within 21 days. You elect, first of all, you design the register, issue out cards, mobilize structures, have elections of the party leadership, then also nominate candidates, carry out campaigns, elect them as to have flag bearers within 21 days. I am looking at it completely and say that the NRM, actually, we are not ready.
We are not ready.
Looking at these programs.
Much as Mr. Bomera concludes that NRM is not ready, however, FDC is ahead of them in terms of preparations. This is why I want to bring in Mr. Gilbert. Mr. Gilbert, all the two parties think it's not yet time. So the two questions I want you to go in line with are, one, the Electoral Commission claims it shall not foot the bills for airtime on radio stations for politicians. So you have to pay your own airtime on a radio station. That's one. Mr. Bomera, as a councillor, I don't think, well, he could have his other businesses and what, but his office cannot let him have airtime on 2 TVs and 3 TVs, 2 TVs and 10 times on a radio in a campaign.
Maybe something I wanted to conclude with was about the virtual campaign. First of all, the Electoral Commission is the one which manages the whole electoral process. To an extent that at presidential level, they even facilitate the candidates. Now, when it comes to local governments, they facilitate the candidates in terms of arranging for them time. But now you are telling me it is not going to meet these expenses. And also looking at now what happens in education. This virtual campaign where people are going to use radios and so on, already with education, the radios have failed.
Sure.
They have completely failed. So I am not certain that really this program of the virtual campaign is going to succeed.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Gilbert, Electoral Commission is not going to meet any bills. And two, they're not going to meet any bills. And two, the two parties claim they're all not prepared. Three, isn't it going to resort to people suing Electoral Commission in this instance? This is why I want you to sum it up in that perspective, because I'm afraid time is taking us and we have two other key issues to discuss.
Once again, dear viewers, I'm Matee Gilbert, and I have good questions to see through. Number one, I will have to comment on the spokesperson of NRM. He alleges NRM not to be prepared, while FDC somehow prepared. My view is that what he thinks NRM is not what NRM is at the end of the day. The Electoral Commission, in consultation with the President, passed the roadmap. And that's why they came the other day to come and feed it.
And the President, who's the chairman of the party?
Me, Matee Gilbert, understand that NRM originates from Museveni and his ideology. If the NRM head top says it can work, go on. You, the spokesperson, says we are not ready, then you are in a different NRM. That is what I wanted us to understand. Number two, airtime to be fitted by candidates. You know, Ugandans, they need to be realistic. When the lockdown started, first 14 days, is it the still lockdown we have today? Towards the end of the first lockdown, were people moving? So if you say campaigns are not taking place because the environment is not yet okay, are you realistic that you are preventing people from getting the COVID? The COVID. My point is
people are moving in buses halfway, yeah.
People are not even moving halfway in the bus. The bus will carry for halfway if seats inside are removed. But seats are inside. The traffic man is on a particular point on the road, and I get a client here who wants to go. And the policeman is not there aware that in Uganda laws only work when the enforcer is on site. Are you telling me this bus is going empty with that seat vacant because it is a declaration? So at the end of the day, the reasons why we have such an election roadmap is not to safeguard the lives of Ugandans against COVID, which we know where it comes from, but to have a resemblance of an election. History says in 1918 there was what we call Versailles Settlement, which was marking the end of World War I. And in that meeting, the victor powers said that Germany should have only 100,000 soldiers for its domestic security. It should pay war reparation equivalent to 66 what. Then Hitler later on, he comes in 1933. He says the purpose of the Versailles Settlement was not to be free, to be fair and just to the Germans, but to impose drastic penalties on us. The purpose of the Electoral Commission's roadmap is not to have a free and fair elections in a clean environment against COVID, but to have anything like an election which can have somebody called the president on chair. Lastly, the campaigns you are talking about have always been funded by you. It is true, national media such as UBC and Radio Uganda, UBC Radio, are supposed to be free for presidential candidates. How often have opposition accessed to those media platforms during electoral process? Not a single time. You are aware there is a time back when FDC party candidate on the president, Dr. Kiza Besigye, went to court to sue the UBC TV for taking his money and denying him what? Airtime.
Oh dear.
And the court ruled that it was wrong for the UBC team to take the money of a person, yet they don't give him what?
So was he compensated?
He was compensated over, was it 200 millions?
Now, Gilbert, I want you to sum up. There's this thing you're going to miss. Now, don't you think, in your opinion, when you go to, because you're the last speaker on this issue, on our way forwards, and so I had the feeling if electoral commission, at least they would rather be guided to have election or campaigns or consultations in small numbers, observing the social distance.
I will reach on that personal comment. Go, I've already showed you that. This roadmap,
you have 1 minute.
It's okay. 60 days for campaigns of the president, which moves from 130 days to now 60, halfway. 29 days for national, for political party arrangement to raise flag bearers. All those are showing signs of impossibilities. But what is the point is that? The point is that we are going to have elections which are virtual, like you are saying. The meaning of the word virtual means to look like. So we're going to have something like elections in reality, not what? Elections.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gilbert. It's been a very, very good submission from all the panelists, ranging from Gilbert to Mr. Bomera and the governor himself. It was nice. So moving on to our second issue, I think we'll spend a little time on this before we go to the other split of the district. And topic we're going to spend less time on is the cabinet proposal to supply radio sets to all homesteads. I heard of my inside sources say they're targeting 10 million radio stations to be supplied to Ugandans. And on those 10 million radio stations, each is estimated to be, or the figures right now in government are 38,000 per radio station. Simple mathematics times 10 million, 38 billion or 380 billion? 38 billion. I think 380 billion. Or for either of the two. 380 billion. This is where I want to start with Mr. Bomera. Mr. Bomera, is this a possibility? And how good do you think the supply can be effective?
First of all, I am not sure that the Electoral Commission had this in its budget, because the budget of the Electoral Commission was approved some time back and it is being rolled to the subsequent financial years.
Maybe it
But,
has government intervention, because they're saying the same radios will be used for virtual learning of students. Eventually, they go and do exams at the end of the year.
This is where the problem is. This is where the biggest problem is, because in the first instance, Education Ministry launched the learning through radio stations before the supply of radios to the homes, and it was assumed that every home in Uganda has a radio. Now, it is true very many homes have radios, but in the second instance, those homes that do not have radios, when they are given radios, it will also be a way of bringing people together. You sit around one radio, listen to someone campaigning, and therefore in that process you'll be bringing people together. Because it is hard to detect that someone who had gone to the market and is coming from that market maybe has not had any contact with some people there. So in the first instance, it is risky that we shall be using a radio in one home, one radio, and all the people in the home come and sit around that radio. Number two, when it comes to the procurement, it is again risky, because I have seen challenges, first of all, in the procurement of food. You have heard about it. In Kampala, people decided to procure food that was not of good quality, and there were so many problems. Now, when it comes to the radios, you have mentioned something to do with 38,000. But remember, when it comes to government procurement, that radio of 35,000 in the open market, it will rise up to around 70, because the supplier is going to put in the taxes and also the profit, so many things. So you find that a radio which is actually of quality, because government cannot give out a radio of 20,000, which cannot help the people to listen properly. So it is a radio that is supposed really to give very good sound to the family, because it is going to be used for two items, like you say, campaign and also the learning programs. So it is going to be very, 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 very expensive. And after all, we are not sure that the procurement process, like I have already mentioned. Therefore, in my view, it is not going to succeed. You heard of the supply of the face masks. In the first place, the president was saying...
They're still waiting.
By 1st.
Yes.
By 1st of June.
Yes.
The next time
10th.
he came, he said
10th.
by 4th. Then from there,
10th.
he said by 10th. And I think today is 17th. So we are no longer hearing...
Next time when he comes, he'll say next year.
Exactly. And yet, we are told that government has already finalized on the procurement process. It means finances had already been earmarked. So
And there are questions on the procurement system.
Exactly.
This is why I want to bring in Mr. Saul. Masks failed. Food in Kampala was not a success. And now radio sets, close to 10 million to Ugandan homesteads. Does it look like a reality to you?
But
Not
you
at
know,
all.
as Saul comes in, how many homes do we have in Uganda? In Uganda, we have 40 million people. How many homes do we have?
They're saying they're targeting 10 million homesteads.
Yeah.
So the ratio is 1 to 4, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Definitely, see, through the experience, just look at it. You just look at it as if it is just a joke. They are playing on the knowledge of Ugandans. This cannot be effective at all, because who will make a follow-up even to say every homestead that was promised a radio has received? There's nobody who has that will. Secondly, these radios they are trying to talk about, is government going to continue even supplying batteries? Because these radios at the end of the day will need batteries.
They'll either need cells, battery cells,
that's right.
or be rechargeable. When it's rechargeable, it requires electricity.
You see, what worries me is that at the end of the day, it ends up to a taxpayer. You see, that is just taxpayers' money, which is being misused by government. You have heard that this country is already, the debt we have is already in our necks. Every day, every other time, you are hearing that country, China, what is extending loans to us that will be paid in 20 years. Now, who will be there by that time? So the people who have, the leaders who have now currently, don't have this country at heart. And that's why everybody is doing the way she can.
Yes, Mr. Saul.
There's no success the way I look at it. It is just miserable.
Yeah.
It is unfortunate. We need prayers in this country.
We need prayers, that's what the governor says, and calls the supply of radios to 10 million homesteads a big joke. This is what I want to bring in Gilbert. I give you 30 seconds to sum it up all. Mr. Saul says it's a joke. Mr. Bomera says, it's not going to be easy in comparison to the promised masks and the food. Ugali na maragi was not easy to supply. And two, Mr. Saul has gotten a point that has caught my attention. You're bringing radios, where are the cells? You are complaining about people in Buganda Central who are getting beans and posho that they are too greedy to request for charcoal to boil the beans. And now the question is, you give us radios, where are the cells? If they're rechargeables, where is electricity? For example, in mountains, in places in rural areas. Mr. Gilbert, sum it up all. Is it a solution?
Thank you.
Radio station, is it a solution for our campaigns and learning?
Radio sets, 10 million radio sets and 137,000 solar-powered television sets by the cabinet was meant for learning purposes. Then Electoral Commission guidelines try to utilize the already existing opportunity. The question I have is that, is it true that Ugandans are missing radios or they need radios? Number two, is it possible that e-learning, virtual learning can lead to quality education which is failing even when people are in the classroom? Are you aware of districts which don't raise even a single first grade at P7 at senior food? So when you use radio stations, will grades improve? What is the standard procedure for evaluating whether lessons are reaching? You task us that we should always give tests to learners to see whether learning is moving on.
To cut you short, I'm sorry. Mr. Bomera here, professionally, is a teacher. So, before Gilbert continues, could you tackle that question? Evaluation of the lessons.
You see, first of all, I thank you
How
so
do you
much.
evaluate when you're teaching virtually on radio station?
There's no way you can evaluate, because I know that the first element that someone can bear in mind when it comes to evaluation is through that physical interaction between the teacher and the learner. That's when you can identify that this one is a fast learner, this one is a slow learner. And therefore you change the technique of teaching. So when it comes to virtual learning and teaching, it is completely unrealistic.
Mr. Gilbert, you can build your point.
Now, according to teaching, or according to education, any teaching which has no assessment and evaluation is not teaching. Therefore, if you
He's
come,
joking?
No, I don't know what they call it, but
They
that
call
is
it
the
revision.
philosophy.
They call it revision.
Any teaching without assessment and evaluation is not teaching. If you come up with virtual learning, invest in such a huge monies, you'll have schools without laboratories which are seeing textbooks for the first time in an examination. You have districts which are missing a health facility.
But says conclusively, you can also feel the potential of the brainees I have on this panel. My invitation is always spot on. I bring expertise, people who have expertise, people who are well versed with research in terms of what we are talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, I will go to our third and last topic, which is the split of District Kasese amid this looming of the city status. I want to listen to opinions today. From Mr. Saul Matee, and Gilbert will also give me his opinions. I think we'll take close to 10 minutes discussing this issue. Mr. Saul, amid this government's inability to facilitate close to 700 of administration into active working, 700 of administration, Mr. Gilbert, 700 of the administration office are not functional because they don't have the finances. Is there room for other creation of districts or split of Kasese district? And two, looming for a city status. Are we ready for the city status? And would you rather prefer splitting the district or we go for city status? I start with you on this issue, Mr. Saul.
Yeah, thank you. You see, with the spirit of Kasese, there are so many diversions and views pertaining this. One, splitting Kasese district would not be a problem, but the problem is that we have different views from different people. Originally, with Kasese, the original tribes here are the Bakonzo, the Basongora, the Banyabindi, maybe possible the Bachingwe, which form the minority group.
But who are the Bachingwe? I've heard about them.
I've heard them. They are there. You do. It is not easy to feel them.
To trace for them.
Exactly. This is it. Their origin is not easy. One, people feel that if Kasese would be split, the idea would be healthy. If the boundaries would emerge from the mountains up to the lowland, that is, both people from the mountain and the lowland benefit from that area, because they feel the natural resources are down. Be the lakes, the salt, the oil, the national park, so that when it comes to resources, all groups, all these are able to benefit from the same. But the issue that has complicated matters is the issue of saying, create a district along the Tamaka. This is it. Have that one.
So the biggest debate is on how.
Oh, exactly how. This is how now. That way is creating a lot. And this event will have specific stakeholders who are supposed to contribute on this. First of all, we have what we call the Omusinga, the king of the Muslim. People who are underrating the command, the respect that the Omusinga commands, align themselves. Because this is a king who even stretches to Congo. People in Congo pay allegiance to him. You can imagine. And when we go to our friends like the Basongora, the Banyabindi, originally they have also been claiming for their own kings. So it becomes a different issue in that should it be in for the split of creating another district, you will find that at the end of the day, the king here would remain here now owning a skeleton of an area. Because every district that would have been created would claim for a king. You see? And we are feeling the Basongora, the Banyabindi, and the Bakonzo have lived here together for centuries. So there is a problem there, as you hear, that with the politics, if you want to manage, they say divide and rule. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been a very big problem. Because all along, we are looking at issues, and it seems there are people who feel they are going to benefit out of this. But then, the views of the many people are against the split of the district. And that's our talk currently. Majority of the people say the king they respect is in jail. How do you come over and you say you are talking the issue of splitting when your father, when your king is in jail and with others? Are you really paying respect to the king? And people say, no, we are
how
not.
about the looming of the city status now?
Now, the city status. People are being educated on this, but looking at KCCA, Kampala now, we are looking at that as if it would be a bright opportunity than creating, splitting, because others are saying when you split the district, there will be job opportunities. But it is also a burden. But when we look at the city, it is going to give more opportunities, where we are going to have more divisions, where we are going to have even more members of parliament. And the city status will be fetching us a lot of money. So now the majority of the people say we are in for the city status. That one, people have no objection because they have felt it, they have understood. Other than this one, because the city status will still leave us together, not divided.
Not divided. A city status will leave us together, not divided.
Exactly.
That's what governor says. And of course, the split of the district, he says his opinion is how to split it should be the main issue. Split it very well, not along the tarmac like the ideology says. So the biggest debate in a district is always on how to split it.
Exactly.
Now, this is where I want to bring in Mr. Gilbert. The whole saga you have been following of the split of the district until councillors wanted to exchange even muscles in the district council. Split of the district versus city status amidst administration wars in the government, funding of administration funding from the government, which has been scarce. Are we together? What's your opinion? Summarize this, Mr. Gilbert, so that we can sum up our show.
Thank you very much. First of all, I will comment on Governor's submission that the district cannot be split without the take of the king's decision. And in any case, if you do it, that you are dividing people or you are reducing the size of the kingdom. I will give you Buganda Kingdom. How many districts does it have? And how often have they been split? Have they reduced the mandate and the authority of the king's influence on all those districts? No. What about Toro Kingdom? Toro Kingdom was stretching from Kasese up to Bundubujo, going up to neighboring Ibanda and Chenjojo. As we talk now.
Now, the argument of governor is that when Kasese was split from Fort Portal, divided, then it was the beginning of having a kingdom. Kasese had one. So he thinks if you also split the Kasese and give Basongora Bachingwe, it shall be the starting point, the turning point of saying, now we are independent, we have our own district, we also wish to have our own king. I don't know whether I'm in line with your arguments.
You are.
Thank you.
Yeah.
If that was his submission, then the purpose of the district in this case, why are they asking for a district? If they are asking for the district split for service delivery, then the district can be given. But if they are asking districts for future claiming of traditional sovereignty in form of a state, in form of kingdom, then there is a problem. But what do we see in their papers? They are claiming they want to bring services to Koroza. They are sympathetic for ladies and gentlemen who have no access to good health facilities, who have no good access to good roads, who have no access to good schools, because services are concentrated in Kasese town. That is the allegation they make. But if they have that mentality, then it is a wrong way to ask for a district. But let me go on to the right way, why they are asking the district. We have 134 districts in the country called Uganda. United States of America has 94 districts. The Republic of South Africa has 52 districts. The Republic of Kenya has 70 districts. If it is the question of giving services effectively near to the people, are we having good services to Ugandans who have now 134 districts compared to those who have 94 districts in the United States of America?
That's a hanging question.
Please.
I will have to.
Do we have 50 good service delivery better than South African Republic, which has just 52 districts?
No.
My point therefore is that we are not creating districts for service delivery. It is give me, I give you. I will use the example of Bushenyi district where I come from. It was called Bushenyi, and you hear the word greater, with 5 constituencies: Shema, Igara, Ruhinda, Buhweju, and Rubirizi. All those were 5 MPs. When they decided to create a district, it became a what? A district. Before it became split, we had 2 major health facilities. That was Ishaka Adventist Hospital and Chitagata Hospital. Today, we are around 8 years down the road. We still have the only 2 health facilities supplying the 5 what? District. Has the services reached down the person?
Not really. So now go to the city status before you bring in Mr. Saul and we sum up this show.
Now, you see, when you cut me short, then my submission is affected a bit.
Sure.
I want
Apologies.
to come to the budget part of it. Each district, according to the Local Government Act, is entitled, once it is being created, is entitled to 100 billion to ensure, is it 100 billion? It is 1 billion for a starting administration of a new district.
20 seconds, we are summing up the show, Mr. Saul.
Because I'm happy Mr. Gilbert has summed up the whole of the issue, because it is true I've seen new units being put up, but you find that there's nothing that is in place. There's no difference at all. So I would just emphasize that the harmony we have maintained in Kasese should continue, and we should look forward, see exactly what do we need, because now the problem now we're experiencing is that we have people who want to eat it today. They are not thinking of tomorrow generation. It is very important, because what you must know is that today, tomorrow, the other day, Uganda will be here.
Yeah, Merialero. So Uganda stays. Uganda is for today, tomorrow, and the other day. So we should not focus on Merialero. I'm afraid I have to cut you all short because we are exceeding our time or our preferred time here on K-Vision TV Topical Discussion. Always send feedback. Remember, we're shooting live from Cafe Olimako, where you can get the best snacks in town in terms of chips, chicken, pizzas, sandwiches, and local food and international foods. Here at Cafe Olimako, you want the best African tea in town, you want the best coffee, you can find it here. And of course, keep sending us your feedback. Thank you so much, Cry Fashion, Salute Boy BD, Denise from Dubai, all the Kasese people in the diaspora, South Africa, USA, Dubai, London. We all get your feedback. Thanks. Keep sending us your feedback. Never forget to subscribe to our channel, and of course press the notification button, slash a like on this video, so that you should never afford to miss all our proceedings here on KVTV, Kasese's online leading television. Thank you so much. It's been great to have you part of this show.
Thank you.